Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so happy you're joining me again today for another video. Today I am letting you in on my latest obsession, which is dark backgrounds for my cards. I love them, they pack such a punch, they're so dramatic, it's just so fun. But they can be hard to get into. Now with a cover die, it's really easy. And this Spring Showers cover die by a Pocketfull of Happiness is perfect for it. Now I am going to start by prepping all of the elements that go inside the background. So I have die cut this cover panel from some really light green cardstock, and this is for the leaves. I am just adding some ink blending to the side of the leaf that I think is coming from underneath the flower. I'm using the ink stand to help me hold my ink cubes, and I'm using key lime ink from Pinkfresh Studio for the green here. Now this is the only color that I die cut a full panel of because there are so many leaves, but for the flowers I just cut a bunch of tiny cardstock scraps and I die cut those just behind the flowers. That way you don't waste an entire A2 size panel of your precious colored cardstock. Now I have my flowers here and I'm adding some ink blending to the center of them, but they're really tiny, so I'm using my finger. I don't really have that many tiny blending brushes and I am not really planning on investing in them soon. So a finger works, especially if it's uncolored cardstock, so you don't have to be so precise, you don't have to blend out to white. It's a lot easier to blend uncolored cardstock sometimes, just because you don't have to have that perfect fade to white effect. So I'm adding ink blending until I'm happy with the intensity. I'm doing that for all of my colors. I have 2 shades of pink cardstock. This is my lightest shade and I'm adding some passion fruit to that. The previous ink was Clementine and these are all Pinkfresh Studio inks, by the way. This is really easy to do, but the finger method definitely helps a lot because blending brushes are quite big. If you do want to just use your blending brushes, you can just go slow. Add ink to just the top part of your blending brush, so not the middle of your blending brush. Don't keep it flat, and that will make the area a little bit smaller to work with. This final color got some Berrylicious ink from Pinkfresh Studio, and that finishes off my flowers, and I can adhere everything together. And the first part of this assembly is going to be adding this dark brown cardstock, just a flat panel, to my card base, because you will see behind the flowers I designed the card that way, but also even if you don't design the card that way, you will probably have some gaps of white if you just do some die cut inlay, and I didn't want that. So I am going to back this with an extra piece of that dark brown cardstock. And then I have also die cut that dark brown cardstock 3 times out of thick white, 3 times with the cover panel. And I have already adhered that together. I'm just adding it to my card base now. You can see I'm not being that precise with the glue. I am just making sure that most of the areas have some glue on there. It doesn't have to be covered in sticky stuff. It's fine. I promise it will hold together nicely even if you don't add glue to every single piece of the paper. So now the fun part begins. I am just inlaying those leaves, and they're very tiny, so I am going to use my bone folder and a pick tool just to press them in and make sure they're adhered nicely. So I add glue to a couple of the openings, then add the leaves, then add glue to a couple more openings. It's a whole process, but it's really relaxing. Just listen to a podcast, an audiobook, some music. It's a lot of fun. I really like this part. Now my leaves are held together on that green background with some purple tape on the back. I did it that way so I wouldn't lose any pieces, so it was easy to ink blend them all, and so I didn't have to look for every piece while I was inlaying them on my card, because that would have been a nightmare, because they all look the same. They're not the same, but they look the same. So yeah, that would have been a pain. If you don't adhere them on the back with some purple tape like I did, you can use a jewel picker to pick them up. That would be awesome too. Now, my initial idea for this card was a dark green background, and that would have been beautiful. I just wanted to show you that. That would have been really fun too, but I just recently made 2 dark green cards, and I just wanted to switch it up. So I stuck with the brown here. But you can absolutely do the green as well. That would have been a fun color combination too. I've only placed the flowers on there temporarily so I know where each color goes. And then I am picking them all up and adding some detail with a white gel pen. This die cuts or impresses a couple of dots in the center of the flowers. It's really cute, but I wanted to just make it a little bit more noticeable, and all I did was add some white gel pen to that. But once I start doing anything like that, and once I have that white gel pen out, I can't stop. So I'm also adding one of those veins to the leaves for each of the leaves. It's really easy to do, it goes really quickly, but it just adds a little something of detail there. My flowers are still not adhered, but they're not shifting around too much. Otherwise, I would have just adhered them before I did the white gel pen here. And once that's done, I can actually adhere the flowers. Now, the way I do this is I curve them up a little bit so the petals are a little bit dimensional, and I only add glue to the center of the flowers, and I don't inlay them. I want these to be a little bit dimensional, and I want these to really stand apart from the background. They already do because they are lighter than the background. So that's the punch of a good dark background card, that your elements are a lot lighter, so they really stand out. Now, I am not inlaying them precisely. I'm setting them off a little bit, or offsetting them a little bit. So, so you can also see that dimension in the background really clearly, because you have that opening of the flower, or for the flower. So it's just a really fun look. All I do is add some adhesive to the center, curve the petals up, zhuzh them up a little bit, like Laura Fedora would say, and press them in place. I do hold them in place for a little bit with my finger, because there's only a little point of them that is getting adhered down, so I really want them to stick. But that's it. Once all of them are adhered in place, I am done with this card. You could add a sentiment, but why would you? It's such a fun background. I don't want to take anything away from that. I also really love this color combination, that punchy lime green with the reds and pinks of this card, and that warm brown background. I love a good brown background. I feel like it doesn't get used enough in card making. I feel like everyone just jumps straight to black or navy blue, and all the other dark colors get a little bit sidetracked. I hope you like this card. I hope you have a cover die laying around that you can try a dark background card with, because they're a lot of fun to make. And if you don't have one, I highly recommend you check out A Pocketfull of Happiness. I am not affiliated with them, but I just really love their designs a lot. All the products I used will be listed and linked in the description below, so go check those out if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.